Welcome, boys and girls, to this year's edition of the What's Your Fantasy podcast, the first of the year. I'm your host, Ricky P. We got a full session for you today. We got Soap Peeps in here with us. Soap, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Mr. Pancho. Mr. Panchu.
It's good to have you. We're going to get to a lot in this episode. We're going to start off with a little presentation. We're going to start with our draft. We had our first ever live draft this year. It went really well. We're going to talk about some overproducers, people who have performed past their ADP. We're going to point out a couple of guys that are actually underperforming based on their ADP. And then we're going to wrap it up with the playoff picture in our league and some recommendations for trades, perhaps, from Mr. Soap Peepson. So, Soap, I'll let you start with some advice on the draft.
Sure. I've been doing fantasy sports for a while. Been won a few championships, as you know. I won it all 2 years ago. So I see some new guys coming around. I don't know. Sometimes I question the moves they make, question the logic of the draft. So I figured, let me pass some word of advice to these guys. They got a little presentation. Hopefully it's helpful. All right, let's try that again.
Nice visual effects, Soap.
I have no idea what the fuck that was.
This is a family podcast, so we'll ask
All
you to refrain from the cursing.
All right, so here's a little presentation on how to win in fantasy football. First of all, it's good to have to know your professional analyst and just to read a lot of the information on the web. There's ESPN. Matthew Berry's always putting out columns and stuff. Just got to be on top of the news. So the first
Can
thing
you
you
make
should
that
get.
bigger?
What?
Can you make that bigger? Can you make it a full screen?
That is full screen.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. It's just I have a really big screen, so the sides are cut off. So the first thing you got to get is inside of vagina. So that stands for value added game day information, news and analysis. That you got to get like the ESPN Insider. Some people pay for the information.
Sorry, so I'm not seeing that. It's not showing. The only thing that's showing is the first page, how to win fantasy football.
Really? It's frozen? All right, let's backtrack. Let me try again. All right, you see me back on the screen?
Yep.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, we'll start over this pod. All right, so I got a little presentation for the guys that are just joining the league or anybody that want to, get more professional advice on how to win in football, fantasy football. So I have a presentation on how to win in fantasy football.
Frank, pay attention, Frank.
So the first thing you should read is all the professional analysis that's available. ESPN, Yahoo. Matthew Berry puts out a column every so often. A lot of fluff in it, but scroll through the bottom, you'll see his love-hate crap.
You're showing, you know that, right? Not the presentation.
Yeah, I'm just talking.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So the first thing you got to get is inside. You get inside of vagina. That stands for value added game day information, news and analysis. What that means is, you can get the ESPN Insider as an example. Read some of the columns from Yahoo, even just the NFL fantasy webpage. The other thing is, but when you're reading the analysis, you got to know the difference between good analysis. Oh, sorry, I bit my tongue. I'm having a hard time saying analysis, so I'll just say anal for now. How's that? You all right with that?
Yeah, we're all right with that.
All right, so you got to know the difference between good anal versus bad anal. So, like last year in week 5, few running backs went down. So this is a column from ESPN. It's about free agent fines for week 5. Popular name that came up was Booby Dixon. Oh, sorry. I think my graphics department got the name wrong. Sorry. You know, sexy name out there, week 5. Little bit of boobs, some dick for everybody. Everybody loves this. But what happened with week 5? He only scored 5.4 points. So that's an example of bad analysis. Second
Where
part
was
is
that from?
that was week 5 of 2015.
What site?
ESPN.
ESPN.
Yep. Matthew Berry, he was on the love list. Didn't do too well. So next, just a little bit of draft strategy. My advice is avoid fucking yourself. I mean, that stands for avoid fumblers, unnamed starters, committees, kick returners, injury-prone players, and never second guess yourself when you're drafting. So obviously, look at the statistics on running backs. Anybody that has a problem holding on to the ball, try to avoid them. They're just going to get you negative points. Unnamed starters and running back by committee, try to avoid those as much as possible. Gadget guys that just score touchdowns based on returns, avoid them. They look flashy, but not going to help you overall. Avoid injury-prone players. Look at Mr. Sammy Watkins, useless. Year after year, does nothing for you. Once you draft him, just gets injured. Yep. And the best word of advice, never second guess yourself, because that's going to prevent you from making moves. Just roll with the punches. Just if you pick up a guy that doesn't perform, trade him away. Drop him if you gotta. Do what you gotta do to keep your team afloat. So the next thing is also what's really important is free agent acquisition. So try the acquire starter strategy. Some guys like to spend $1 here, $1 there, on potential backups, whatever. But you know what? Don't just wait for an injury to come up. Read the news. Once a potential starter comes available, spend some of your money on him. There are guys at the end of the season that have so much money left from the free agent acquisition budget. Spend your money,
Now, I just want to interject a quick point there. So, I've always been one that have spent all my money, and usually, even now I have about $10 left, and sometimes you overpay. I look at Ramos, a guy that spends $1 each week, but he's been doing such a good job of picking up those guys for $1 and getting good value, getting 1, 2, sometimes 3 starts of them. In the case of Montgomery, in the case of Devontae Adams, I'm not sure if he drafted Adams actually. But my point is, what's your best advice for those that kind of want to hoard and hold on to the money and kind of live by those dollar acquisitions? What's your advice on how to stretch that dollar as far as you can?
Well, in the case of Mr. Ramos, he has pretty good scouting. His problem is he's usually about 3 weeks ahead of everybody else. He picks up guys, holds them for a week, and then drops them because he needs to fill other needs. So he drops the players that could be potential boom guys later. So he drops them too early. So he's just spending money, kind of, there's guys like what's his name, Mr. Renzo of Team Poke High. Spends his money when it's too late. I believe he made his first acquisition about 3 weeks ago for maybe a backup defense or something. But that's already week 5 or something. I think he's pretty much out of it. So
it seems like he's been kind of sleepwalking through this thing, and I saw that he just made a $15 pickup of the guy from San Francisco, the Juan Harris. Good back, but like you said, I don't know. It might be a little too late for him.
It is. And on top of that, that's probably a committee. So not even worth the $15. Nobody else bid on him, so that's just bad scouting.
Now you talked about spending your money, and that's something that Tommy Shore has embraced. He spent $30 for Nile Davis. Talk about what your thoughts are on that acquisition, and you could actually segue right into the Bishop Sankey, where Tyrod, Mr. Ladie, spent about $20. I believe it was $19 for one Bishop Sankey. Your thoughts?
That goes back to my initial slide on, understanding good anal versus bad anal. Uh, I meant to say analysis, but I bit my tongue, so having a hard time saying it.
Take your time.
Some people, they read too much hype, and you just got to be able to read between the lines sometimes, So I believe Mr. Ramos actually made the best acquisition of the week. He picked up James Starks, who is known to perform when Mr. Fat Lacy is out. And he only got him for $1 versus Mr. DFT there. I'll keep
Shout out to DFT.
Spending $30 on a potential backup that was cut by 2 teams within 3 days. So it's just bad scouting reports sometimes. Sometimes people are desperate. They read the hype. They buy the hype, and they spend incorrectly. So Bishop Sankey, I don't know. Again, another guy that's been cut by several teams. I don't know if he's going to pan out. It might take him another year because he might have to learn the new system. Who knows? He might be Christine Michaels next year, but I don't think he's going to perform this year. Christine Michaels, another example of one of those guys that's been cut a few times, but is finally panning out. So good scouting by Mr. Tommy on that one for this year. But again, that's going to be a potential committee when Thomas Rawls comes back. And we know CJ Procise is already at the PPR back on that team. So
Procise is already eating into his carries. In fact, I think Procise had 2 less carries than him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And they really like Rawls. As soon as Rawls comes
they're receiving back, so he's guaranteed the 4 to 8 receptions, targets a week. So moving on with the presentation.
If you want to show the slides, you can't see the slides.
You can't see it?
No.
Oh, it's been on the slide. All right.
We can see you, which is always plus, but.
Oh, but did you see any of the other slides?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you, but it's okay. Yeah. We can share the presentation.
Wait, from the first?
Yeah, we didn't see any of it.
You didn't see anything after the first?
No.
All right, let me try it again.
All right. We can start over. I can add it over, but we have some really good content today.
I know. I'm not going to remember what I said.
That's all right. I think it's still the same.
No, but you got to do it with the presentation. Hold on.
I know that's what I was telling you, but I thought maybe you just wanted to talk. You were like, "No, I'm just talking." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
All right, we could try it again.
All right, you started off 3, 2, 1, and then share your screen.
All right, so for the new guys joining the league, and maybe some of the guys still trying to learn the ropes of fantasy football, I just prepared a little presentation. Hopefully they find it helpful in helping them achieve better results in fantasy football.
Very kind of you. There we go.
All right, so here's a little presentation on how to win in fantasy football. A little bit of effects there. So the first thing you got to know is just be able to sort through the professional analysis. There's a lot of information out there. First thing you got to get is get inside of Vagina. That's value-added game day information, news, and analysis. One example is you can join the ESPN Insider. You can read some of the Yahoo columns, or you can just read the NFL fantasy webpage itself. They have some information that's always up to date. injury reports and so forth.
So let me just interject. As far as insider, some of the guys use sleeper bots. I'm a big fantasy pros guy, and I know a lot of guys use fantasy pros as well, and Yahoo. Who do you find is the most accurate? I mean, a lot of guys use Matthew Berry as well. I feel like he's 50-50. Who do you think? Do you have an analyst that you kind of give a lot of credibility to?
I just use my own logic. I like looking at the stats itself, and just getting information on injury updates. And I run my own analysis offline. I create my own spreadsheets, because I think most of these guys are just paid to say a lot of crap and they're 50-50. They're like weathermen. If they're right, they pat themselves on the back. If they're wrong, they move on next week's analysis.
That's
So,
so
in all
true.
honesty, don't really care for any of them. That's
So
right.
true.
Yeah. But, you just read for information and you make your own judgment. So, all right. So, moving on. The other thing is, you have to know good analysis. Oh, sorry, I bit my tongue. Let me repeat that. You have to know good anal. Can I just say anal from now on as an
Sure.
abbreviation?
This is a family program. You can say anal.
You have to know good anal versus bad anal. So, for an example, in week 5 of last year in 2015, I think Miss LaShawn McCoy went down, and so did Carlos Williams of the Buffalo Bills went
Bills.
down. So, a hot name, like this is a screenshot of a ESPN page. The hot name for that week was Mr. Booby Dixon. So, he's a popular pickup during week 5, for week 5. A little bit of boobs, a little bit of dicks. Everybody likes that. So,
Very good.
sorry, I misspelled the name. Graphics department didn't do their spell check. So, there we go. I corrected it. But what happened as of week 5? He only got 5.4 points. I think a lot of teams lost because of the bad analysis. Oh, there we go. My tongue is working again. So I'm able to pronounce the word correctly now. So, so there. So the third thing is have a good draft strategy. So first thing I say is avoid fucking yourself. And that's abbreviated for fumblers, unnamed starters, committees, kick returners, injury-prone players, and never second guess yourself. That's the most important thing. So look at running backs, look at their stats. Any guys that can't hold on to the ball, try to avoid them as much as possible. They're just going to get you negative points. Everybody hates committees. Some guys draft guys thinking or hoping one of them becomes the starter, but I try to avoid them as much as possible because you never know what the coach's decisions are sometimes.
So you want to go with the people that already have the starting job.
Yep. I rather get the surefire starter, and if he loses his job, at least I knew offhand that he's gonna start a few games for me and get me points. Avoid kick returners, flashy guys that might get you the occasional points. Some guys love that extra possibility of a return touchdown, but I say, you know what? Look at the baseline numbers. The flashiness is just upside, but most of the time those guys don't do anything, and they're just extra dead weight on the bench.
Totally
So
agree.
another important point is to avoid injury-prone players. Example, Mr. Sammy Watkins, great talent, but always injured. Also,
Arian Foster rings a bell.
Arian Foster also gets you about 5 games, but when your season's on the line, doesn't come through.
Jamal Charles.
Yeah, Charles. Well, he's known to produce, but this year I think
Yes,
he's
but he's
back.
had he's had a few injuries. And just while we're on that topic, would you start to put like Thomas Rawls in that category now?
Um, it's his second year, and I'll give him some time because he's known to bounce back, and he's been pretty good. I mean, running backs are due to go down quite often, but when a receiver gets little injuries and nagging injuries and they're made of glass, I'd avoid them as much as possible. Running backs, you know, gotta flip a coin sometimes,
Sure.
and
Yep.
you just gotta go with the talent. Injuries are gonna happen to running backs more often than wide receivers. So at least when you're drafting the wide receivers, you just want the guys that really finishes 16 games a season. And I don't care about the upside if they're missing 7 games a year. So,
Good point.
so another key things that most guys don't take advantage or think about is the free agent acquisition. You know, a lot of guys spend their money unwisely. Some guys hold on to their money. So I say try the ass, which is acquire the starter strategy. So there's a lot of guys that just like, they just like rotating the bench and their bench players. Why? Because they're reading some article about some potential sleepers. So they're spending $5 here, $1 there for nothing. And they never start these guys. So I say, you know what? Sit back, wait for the injury, and then when a real starter comes around, you spend money on them. At least you get to use them. They're not going to be dead weight on your bench. So you're spending your money wisely.
Is that kind of what? I'm sorry. Is that kind of what Tommy was thinking with Miles Davis?
I think, well, he's been a little bit off this year. Tommy's decent with his acquisition strategies, but I think this year he just read the wrong article. Probably he rode the hype on Miles Davis. I mean, if the Chiefs cut him, and then he got drafted because he needed the replacement for Lacey. I think that was a good idea to pick up Miles Davis, but for 30, probably too much. I don't know where he probably got that idea from.
There's a
Maybe,
lot of propaganda, especially in the age. I don't know who could put it there, but you see these conflicting reports, and it's just like a flashing bright light. Sometimes a guy can make a bad call.
yeah, same thing. Like last year, I believe Chuck Kendrick West went for $30 also. So, some guys just got to be able to make up their own mind about the information provided by the analyst. So, but then there are some guys that just don't spend their money. Like one team manager that comes to mind is Renzo of Team Pokai. I believe he just made his first acquisition about 2-3 weeks ago. Spent about $1 here, $1 there. But that's already like week 6 or 7. Now he's going out and spending like $15 on, I don't know, some player that's
DeJuan Harris.
DeJuan Harris. Sorry, the name slipped me because, again, not an important guy. Probably going to be a timeshare, maybe a 1-week starter, but for $15, not worth it.
I think Carlos Hyde's coming back next week, so I'd have to agree with you. I think that's a bad spend.
But you know what? He still has over like $80 to spend for the rest of the season, so he's gonna start outbidding everyone. But doesn't matter. Too late. Too little. Too late. I believe. So
I think everybody's waiting for that last minute guy like David Johnson last year. But I mean, at this point, wouldn't you think it's already too late for that? I mean, do you think maybe like Booker or Hightower or even Kendrick West or any of the injuries we've had already, we might already have the David Johnson in the lineup already.
I believe so. I mean, I've been scouring the waiver wire. I think all the talent's gone. So maybe I missed 1 or 2 names, but right now probably not going to make a difference. So
You can't take that fat budget home with you guys. You can't spend it outside of the league.
yeah, make it rain, guys. Make it rain. All right, moving on. So the other thing is try, when you're making your picks, pick shaved pussy. That starters have an advantage versus employed defense, thus providing upgraded scoring stats and yardages. So what does that mean? Look at the matchups. Got look at teams with great starting lines. If you wanna look at the additional stats, look at Dallas's offensive line. Look what wonders they're doing for Zeke. He's leading the league in rushing because he has a great line. So
Their left tackle, I forget his name now. It eludes me. I think it's Thomas Smith. Their left tackle is just a beast, man. He's just throwing guys around left and right. It just looks like he's playing with a bunch of high schoolers out there. Yeah, that line.
So again, because of the extra, you know, bonuses that comes with having a great O line, Zeke's getting extra yardage every carry. So that's extra points in your pocket. So, I mean, great pickup in the second round by Frank on that one. I missed him as the 12th pick. So, next thing is game day decisions. A lot of guys have to wait to see who they're gonna start on any given Sunday or even Thursdays. So what I say is use your dick. So that's use your defensive information correctly.
Use it or lose it.
Yep. When deciding between two players with about equal value, look at the defense they're facing. For example, like in ESPN, click on any of the numbers, you can see the defensive rank of the team they're playing against versus the position. There's a screenshot of my current winning team, which is 8-7-1. There's also Yahoo. I don't know if a lot of guys use Yahoo, but I think Yahoo stats are much better. So moving on, a key to winning at fantasy is trade strategy. This year, there's no trades going on. Last year, yeah, there were a bunch of trades going on, but some of them are frivolous. What I say is when you're trading, don't be a DFT. Everybody knows what that is. Don't be a dumb fuck Tommy. What does that mean? Don't piss off other teams because then nobody wants to trade with you even if they need something.
That is true. That is true. You gotta spread a lot of goodwill out there.
Exactly. Another word of advice on trading, I say trade your assets. If you got deep bench with extra position players that, for example, Mr. Rohit Kumar, sorry, what's his name? Mr. Rohit Kumar. Sorry, I thought it was Kumar. Okay. He's got four pretty good wide receivers this year, but he's in the bottom. He's got Landry, Cooper, DT, and Marshall. Plus,
that's not even counting Anunwa, who's
exactly
wide receiver three.
But with that lineup, you would expect him to be in the top, but he is currently 3-5 and scoring very minimal points. So his season is currently on the line this week, and he's still refusing to trade his. I keep telling him, spread out your points. You need a better QB. So, that's just a word of advice to him. And if he doesn't want to take it, he can go down with the ship with his 4 wide receivers. That ain't going to do anything for him.
Now, when we're talking about trades, I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that can benefit from a good trade as well.
Yeah.
Papa comes to mind, and here's a gentleman that drafted a nice team. He had a nice draft, and then he started off hot. Marvin Jones started off hot. Julio's been producing all year. DeMarco Murray, what a pickup by Papa. I think he got him in like the 3rd or 4th round, and he's just been. I mean, if the draft was tomorrow, I think Murray's top 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that to say, since then, Marvin Jones has fizzled out. His second running back, Doug Martin, hasn't played in 4 weeks. His team is losing. He's back to 500, I believe.
Yep.
And yet he refuses to trade. I send him messages and it just seems like I don't know if some of these guys have given up already, or perhaps maybe you can shed some light on it.
Well, I think with Papa, he just don't like trading with putos.
Oh, is that it?
So yeah, I think so. But he knows his fantasy. I respect Papa. He always makes the playoffs somehow. But
He sure does. He sure does.
but again, he if he saw my presentation early, maybe he would have avoided Doug Martin, who's often injured. He's often injured. I'd avoid him.
That's
No
right.
scrub anyway. One hot year, 3 sucky years. Avoid him. And I mean, he has Julio. I think that's probably his biggest trade chip. He could probably ride the rest of the season with his current receiving core. He could probably trade Julio for uh, WR2 and probably a starting running back. Running backs currently are very valuable. The new trend is that everyone's embracing in fantasy is this wide receiver run. But
Zero RB.
yeah, zero RB. I don't think it's working.
Complete smash.
The guys with lots of WRs are not doing anything this year. They're all in the bottom of the pile.
I tell you, I went and stocked up on running back, brother. I got like about 6 running backs.
You did. Mr. Ramos, we laughed at him at the draft, but hey, he's been going running back heavy and he's making a comeback.
He's been winning.
So hats off to him. But I say always go with running backs. Always get the sure-handed running backs that would get receptions. Put them at the top. Le'Veon Bell. All right, he might have missed 4 games or 3 games, but in the second round, that's a steal. So
he's such a target monster.
Yep, exactly. David Johnson. Why did I get him with the 3rd pick? Oh, 4th pick or whatever. I don't remember.
I think it was a trade. I think it was some kind of draft day trade.
Yeah, I traded up, gave up my 2nd and 3rd round pick for to get the 3rd pick of the draft and an additional 4th and 5th rounders. But I think that worked out in my favor. My only regret is not taking another running back with the 12th pick also in the 1st round. So imagine if I went with David Johnson and Ezekiel Elliott.
Man. What a compliment.
Yep.
So are you saying that next year you're going zero wide receiver?
Nah. Not. I would wait maybe till the 4th or 5th round for a wide receiver.
Wow. Okay.
Out there. You get 3 top running backs, you're set. Look at my team. I mean, I have to admit, I have underperforming wide receivers this year. Mr. Allen Robinson hasn't done anything for
Allen Robinson. He's going to win me some money this year.
Traded for Des Bryant. Got 1 game out of him, like maybe 14 points before he went out in the second half of the game. Got pretty much no production from Sterling Shepard or John Brown. So, but I'm still 7-1. I'm winning basically with my running backs, taking turns to produce, like Forte, Ajayi, David Johnson. Got Mr. Olsen at tight end.
How about your kicker?
Adam Vinatieri. He's
top kicker in fantasy.
So that's probably another good strategy is to try to find a kicker on a team that moves the ball. Maybe with a bad line, they'll move the ball, they'll move the chains, but they may not score the touchdowns. Those are the guys you want, guaranteed to get you 10, 15 points. So, all right. So, in summary, get inside of vagina, have good anal, not bad anal, avoid fucking yourself, try some ass, pick shaved pussy, and use your dick correctly. So
that last one, I gotta say, is very crucial.
Yep.
So before we wrap this up, so thank you so much for the presentation. It was really
Yeah.
helpful. And before we wrap this up, I just want to get your take on a few things. We're kind of like at the midpoint session here. We're heading towards the end stretch in the playoffs. Give me three guys that you think have really outperformed their ADP, their average draft position. And then I want you to give me three guys that you think have totally just shit the bed based on where they were drafted.
All right, let's pause this for a second. Let me look up the name.
It's all right. Just off the top.
What?
Just
No,
off
no,
the top.
just pause it. I'm gonna pause it.
You don't have to pause it. I'll flip it.
I actually don't know. Let me look at the draft order.
So I think of like let's say
I
Allen
mean,
Robinson,
Marvin.
a prime target, right? Like Allen
Yeah, Allen
Robinson
Robinson, obviously.
drafted DeAndre Hopkins drafted.
Hopkins.
I think DeAndre Hopkins definitely drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
Has not lived up to expectation. Ezekiel Elliott's got to be on the other end. A guy that's drafted high, totally has performed.
Yeah. But you
One of the guys that one of the guys I feel has totally like outdone himself on his draft position is Spencer Ware. He's
who?
been producing like an RB1. He was drafted in the sixth round, I believe, sixth or seventh round.
Who?
Spencer Ware,
Oh, yeah.
late round pick, and
Yeah.
then just totally outperforming himself. T.Y. Hilton, I believe Frank got him in the seventh round, if I'm not mistaken, and he is just blown out. I think he's second in targets to Mike Evans. He's had a few big games, and he's just totally. I mean, Frank got a wide receiver one. I think he's the fifth overall receiver.
All right.
Last time I checked, for that low price.
All right. Hold on. Let's start that segment again.
Okay.
Yeah, let me find some names.
Okay.
So, all right, 3-3, right?
Yeah. Let me know when you're ready. I'll start over.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Sammy Watkins. I'm gonna go with Allen Robinson, obviously, and let's see.
Look for guys drafted high.
Yeah, first three rounds probably.
Yep,
I'll go with Mark Ingram. Fucking scrub.
that's true.
Ingram and Devontae Freeman. Let's see. He's
Freeman's
all
had some
right.
games though. Freeman's had.
I know. Alshon.
Alshon has definitely had nothing.
Second round.
Just caught a touchdown.
Yeah. All right, I'll go with Alshon, Robinson, and what did I say? Ingram, right?
Yeah.
All right. The who's producing better
Over
than
the.
him? Okay. Who's overproducing?
Yeah, based on their ADP.
Oh.
So late round picks that are
But you want guys that's gonna fall back to earth.
no, just guys that you got late that are just like that are just blowing out of the water.
No, I'm going with Ajayi.
Of course, Ajayi. He just started though, but yeah, we can do him.
Yeah, come on. You're breaking
Sure.
history right there.
Yeah.
Ajayi. Who else? What was the name you threw at me?
I said Spencer Ware.
Yeah, but
Sixth
not
round.
really. Nah. See, I'm looking like in the fifth and sixth, seventh, eighth.
Frank Gore, the number 9 back in fantasy.
Yeah. I don't want to give him your team name.
You could go with Jordan Howard.
Melvin Gordon, right there.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Frank Gore. Well, Frank Gore in the fifth it's about right. No.
He's the number 9. He's an RB1. I drafted him as an RB2.
Yeah, but in
He's
a
being drafted like if he was picked in the second round. He's performing like he was picked in the second round.
and Crabtree. Gotta go with Crabtree.
Crabtree, yes.
Crabtree, Gordon. I don't know. Gore in the fifth. That's about right. I still draft him around there.
Even he's the number 9 overall RB. He's the number 9 overall RB.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you hatred. You got the core hatred.
Get no love. I'm gonna find a better name.
All right, that's fine.
So I said, I should write it down. Crabtree, Gordon. Who else?
Crabtree Gordon.
Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah.
No.
How about Matt Ryan, a guy that wasn't drafted?
Oh yeah, waiver.
QB1.
Not even drafted.
He's the QB1.
Yeah. All right, I'll put him in.
All right, ready?
Robinson, Alshon, and who? I can't remember. Can't remember.
Robinson, Alshon, and
Ingram. All right, ready?
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for that presentation. Very helpful, and I think it'll come in handy this upcoming year. Before we let you go, I just want to get your take at the midway point on some of the guys that are outperforming their ADP average draft, and then some guys that are underperforming based on where they were drafted. So let's start first with the guys that are performing really well based on where they were drafted.
Yeah. Three names that comes to mind that were picked in the first and second round, popular picks, with this zero RB thing. I mean, one of them is my guy, Allen Robinson. Took him with the 12th pick. Not doing much. I mean, partially his fault, mostly the quarterback's fault. Bortles just terrible this year. Probably second worst rated QB out of the top 32. Another one is that another player underproducing is Mark Ingram. As you know, the coach benched him the other day in favor of Hightower for after the
fumbling issue.
Yep. So, but I mean, I don't know if that's to teach him a lesson. So it's still up in the air who's starting this week for New Orleans. But I say Ingram might start the game. They'll see what he does. Maybe give him 5 touches. Does nothing. Hightower takes the job. If he does something, they'll roll with him. They paid him big bucks to.
They did pay him a ton of money.
Another name that underproducing in the second round, Alshon Jeffries. I think he's just scored his first touchdown this week, last week. But I think better days are ahead for him. The Bears have been decimated with injuries. Cutler just came back, so he's just going to target Alshon the rest of the way. And definitely easy schedule coming up. So I think he bounces back. Robinson, I drafted him high. I'll probably hold him. I know you offered me Jordan Howard. Great offer, but don't really need any more running backs. I'm pretty set there. So Howard's just
man's rich with running backs. Rich with running backs.
Rich. Good with DJ, Forte, and Ajayi.
Not a bad trio. Now, what about some guys that are performing higher than where they were drafted? Maybe you got these guys late, and they're performing like RB1s or wide receivers.
Sorry, pause again.
No, it's all right. Look at your notes. I think you mentioned Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan wasn't even drafted, and he's the overall quarterback 1.
Yeah. Matt Ryan, I mean, everybody expected him to suck for some reason. I mean, he's been known as Matty Ice, Mr. Consistent. He's been on the decline, but you know what? Tough ass schedule between week 3 through 6, I believe, and he played through it. Tore up some of the good defenses.
Seattle
averaging, Atlanta's averaging like 35 points a game. Probably tops in the league. Sorry, can't remember the other names. Tired.
No problem. The guy that's overperforming, Jay Ajayi, I don't think anybody would have thought he would have ripped off 400 yards.
I mean, I took him, I believe, in the 9th round. I took him as a handcuff because everybody knows that Arian Foster is not going to last the season. I was offering him to the owner of Arian Foster, for as a throw-in. Didn't want him. Didn't do anything, I admit, for the first 5 weeks, but that's because I think it's just a stupid coach in Miami didn't know who to start. Jai, we know, has off the field issues, a little arrogant. So I think the coach was trying to wait for him to mature a bit, but once he got the ball, he ran away with the job. 2 straight 200-yard games. I think that's the 4th time in history that's ever been done. So he may fall back down to earth when he faces tougher defenses, but Miami, I think, has an easy enough schedule going forward. So he may put up another 100, 200 games somewhere.
Hopefully, his struggles begin this week at the Jets when I play you.
I don't believe so, sir, because the Jets are ranked number 29th in the run defense. So I don't think he will underperform this week. I believe he puts up 25 points at least, and I think your season may be done after this week, sir, Mr. Poncho.
I doubt that. Continuing on with the topic, another guy you had mentioned, performing higher than where he was drafted.
I would offer you some if you were here, because I know you like that in your mouth, right?
By the way, Michael Crabtree.
Oh, yeah. The other guy that comes to mind, Michael Crabtree, drafted really late, performing as a top 8 wide receiver right now. Good scouting by Pon, or either just luck.
Pon V-Rock.
Yeah, I don't know. But Crabtree's always had the talent. Everybody knows that in college. Maybe it's finally coming out. David Carr is maturing as a QB. Less turnovers this year. So Oakland's got a pretty good offense. So that's the type of player you want to have on your team to lead you to a championship. Unfortunately, Pon's team is done.
He's not mathematically eliminated yet.
1-7. He's done.
Lastly, we'll get you out of here with this. Give me the 16 you think are making the playoffs.
Me, Riddick is gonna make it just by wins. Frank always makes it, partially with luck. I don't know.
Some people say he's the luckiest man in fantasy.
Luckiest man in fantasy. Every defense he's employed so far has given them at least 5 points or higher. Most of them given them double digits. Only one time he got 1 negative points from a defense he picked up. So he didn't even draft the defense. Again, this week.
You must have seen your slideshow.
Maybe.
Must have leaked out.
Maybe I based the slideshow on his strategies. I don't know.
There you go.
That's 3. Papa's going to make it. And I think the rest is a toss-up. In all honesty, I'm not sure. Every team's got some need that they need to make some trades right now. I think whoever makes the first good move, fills the needs, plug up their holes in their lineup, makes the playoffs. Guys that want to make moves, going to fail and just
I just want to put this out there, as you just said that I'm offering running backs. I need a wide receiver. I offered Papa Jordy Nelson and a running back for Julio. He's yet to respond. I offered Gordon Cousins.
In his defense, you're a puto, so he's not gonna trade with you. So sorry about that.
Yeah, but you just mentioned about trading, and I just want to put it out there that I got plenty of running backs. Some of these guys want to watch this.
I think we brokered a deal. I was trying to help you out there, Landry for Gore. I think that's a great trade for everybody.
I got Landry on my team. Seems easy, but that's besides that. Those guys got no upside.
Yeah, but Beasley's done. Des Bryant back again.
We'll see what he does in Cleveland.
Who?
We'll see what he does this week in Cleveland. He's got a nice matchup. Even with Des Bryant, he still caught 5 passes, 50 yards.
Yeah. Well, this week is enough to go around in Cleveland, so Beasley gets 70 yards, touchdown, 6 catches.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All
That's
right.
good.
Well,
I mean, that's
thanks a
it.
lot, Soap. Thanks for the presentation. You heard them, gentlemen. Get your lineups in order. You need to trade. You need to spend that fantasy money, and you need to analyze and do the right thing.
That's right.
I'll see some of you in the playoffs. This is Ricky P signing off for Fantasy Podcast.
Peace, putos. All right.